What's going on, guys? I'm terrible at keeping up with YouTube and all that other stuff, so I figured I'd just give like a quick rundown of how prep went and all that other stuff right now. So, not really much changed. Like, food stayed pretty consistent throughout the entire prep. Training didn't really change a whole lot throughout the entire prep. Leg days kind of went away for a little bit there towards peak week and everything like that. But the first show, tried the standard like depletion, like pull off a lot of carbs, and then try to fill back in and bring things back to life and do water manipulation and all the other stuff that normal people normally do. And it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Like the peak wasn't anything, super special. Um, so after the local show, which I ended up getting first in men's physique overall. I ended up getting second in classic physique overall. Um, Anything that wasn't classic physique that I registered for, so men's physique novice, men's physique class B, class B, classic novice, classic true novice, all that other stuff. I ended up taking away wins at a local show. So, it didn't go great, didn't go terrible. It was a local show, about as expected. Like I should be pretty competitive at the local level, at least I want to be. Um, But yeah, so then the following show that we had 3 weeks out after the local show, me and my coach decided, okay, so I mean, yeah, we tried this water manipulation, we tried this depletion into a carb up, and I think you look your best, honestly, whenever you're just eating normal training day food and you're going from, you know, 2 meals, 3 liters of water into training, and then getting a pump, and then something that that's it, that's the spot. So. We found that look and then we just continued to replicate it. Probably found it a week or two in advance, and then it again just continued to replicate it. The only thing that changed during peak week was there's a drop off in cardio. So cardio got taken out entirely. Steps got dropped down to like 8,000. It ended up being like 10,000 just because like I've got a physical job and I'm gonna be moving around. But steps went down to like the bare minimum, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Leg days got pulled out entirely again, and whatever leg days were just turned into like upper body pump work because it was all, you know, like 20, 30 minutes, maybe a session, because you're not growing during that time. You're just trying to get a pump and see like, okay, so here's how I'm coming in today. Here's how I'm coming in tomorrow. Here's how things are looking right now. Right. And just morning check-ins every day, weight, physique, um, checking in after meals with weight, checking in after training sessions with weight, with front, back, side photos, just like hitting all the mandatory poses, trying to keep lighting the exact same so that I can give my coach good data to go off of. But yeah, we found the look and we just continued to replicate it over and over and over again until show day. Show day comes around. Love the Emerald Cup. Phenomenal show. Uh, the only thing was that like it was a Masters Olympia qualifier. And I wasn't aware of that, so I got backstage for prejudging. That was supposed to start at 10 a.m. for the pros, and then, immediately after it was going to be, amateurs NPC. Well, I get backstage, and I ended up being backstage for, I think, 3 hours before I even needed to pump up. So I had a false pump up, and then, like, I continued to just kind of, like, hang out and wait and try to figure out, like, when I'm supposed to be eating, and, like, okay, so how much water do I need to be drinking right now? It was a lot of up and down for a little bit. Nothing super detrimental or super crazy or anything for prejudging, but yeah, so it's kind of a guessing game at first because we didn't really know what was going on. So then, like I finally start pumping up, like actually pumping up and everything, get a little food in me. I'm like I want to say 2.5 meals in just because like it was all carbs, like rice cakes and honey, after that second meal that I had, but not necessarily like a full meal, if that makes any sense, just like, carbs to kind of pump up. And then go out on stage. I won novice class B at a regional show, at a pretty stacked regional show, at least from my perspective. I took second overall in the hero class. The guy who beat me in the overall for the hero class ended up winning everything for classic. Dude looked insane. He was absolutely nuts. And dude's crazy. He was on stage for 3 different categories for men's physique, classic physique, and open. And he was in contention for the overall in classic physique, where he won, and then he was in contention for the overall in bodybuilding. Yeah, I don't think he won that, but he won his division or Class A or whatever it was. And then he was second overall in Class A for men's physique. Like just phenomenal, like physique, phenomenal structure. Like dude just looked great. Um, I ended up doing open class C for classic physique for like my open class, and I don't know exactly why I was good to compete in class B for novice, but I ended up doing class C for the open. Um, but either way, stage time is stage time. I don't care. So I go out there and I look to my left, I look to my right, and I'm like, all right, well, my posing can be spot on. It can be everything in the world. I'm about to just get outsized because clearly, like, these guys aren't all rookies. They've been doing this for a while. But it didn't stop me. It's like, okay, well, that's just one less thing to worry about now because, well, I'm not going to win. I can just have fun with it and make sure that I'm hitting my poses perfectly, you know? Even then, I took sixth in open class C for classic physique. So one spot away from first call out. Uh, Not bad at all, especially in that lineup. Was not upset with that. Very happy with it. But yeah, prejudging. I got done with prejudging for everything. Got on stage for three different iterations, and like after drinking 600 milliliters of water, walking back to the hotel, which is like I don't know a quarter mile away. I get back, drink 600 milliliters of water. I weighed in again, and my pre-stage weight was like 192. My post-stage weight was 189. So I lost 3 pounds just from like posing and fake pump ups and like just trying to gauge where I was supposed to be with this. Um, Anyways, had a few hours, got a burger, had finals and everything like that. Next day was men's physique. So then men's physique, woke up a little watery from the night before. Maybe it had to do with the burger. Probably had to do with the burger because water intake stayed fairly consistent. It might have been a little bit light, but not enough for the water to fluctuate like that as far as retention goes. But yeah, so I ended up having to dry out a little bit more that morning. So, cut down on water intake and just, started going through posing rounds. And I got a little bit harder and harder and harder. And like, I didn't get on stage looking bad. I didn't get on stage looking watery or blown out or anything. Um, Prejudging went well. I went up there. I knew that, like, all right, cool. I've got better legs than most people that are standing out here. At least it looks like I do because their shorts look a little bit more baggy, whereas mine are kind of like hugging my thighs a little bit more, if that makes sense. But with it being men's physique, like they were not super focused on, leg development. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool if your shorts are filled out and everything in your men's physique. And uh, really, I think if you're a bodybuilder, you should have some kind of legs on you anyways. But some people just came in a lot harder. They came in with a lot more size. Um, but I ended up taking third overall for finals. So, yeah, I took third overall in Class B for men's physique, which, yeah, again, not mad at that. First, like, real serious regional show. And, I showed up and, I held my own. Um, After that, I couldn't get my flight changed because I didn't plan on competing on Saturday. But since I won the overall for men's physique at the local show, they sponsored my entry for men's physique at the regional show. So what was going to be like, kind of a chill Saturday, just kind of going around Seattle eating and hanging out, turned into another day getting on stage. Not upset about it. More stage time. Came up with a little bit of extra hardware too. But yeah, so a little bit more stage time. Ended up getting third overall there. I was top three for an open class at a pretty serious show. And then like the flight was pretty, pretty, pretty close to like when we were supposed to be getting off stage. So like I immediately got off stage and me and my girlfriend, we made a beeline straight for the Cheesecake Factory. I unfortunately ate like an asshole and consumed, I did the math, I think the next day, and it came out to like 5,500 calories or something like that, that I crushed in about 2 hours time. Um, and afterwards I wish that I hadn't, just because like I was probably running a fever, like I was hot. I was only wearing like sweatpants and a hoodie. I didn't have a shirt on underneath. I didn't have any like shorts on underneath the sweatpants because it was like get ready and go. So I'm sitting on this plane for 4 hours going from Seattle to Anchorage. And oh my God, I was burning up. The only time that I felt like okay was when I was like stripped down butt naked in the airplane bathroom, fighting for my life. But I ended up getting like a full 7 liters of water in that night, or I guess that day in total. But yeah, 7 liters of water and no crazy edema, no crazy water retention. Of course, there was some because that's a lot of food and it's a lot of food that I'm not used to having, but it wasn't anything like catastrophic. But yeah, that was like my one day of eating like an asshole. And then the next day, like I still had some fun, right? I still enjoyed what I was doing. I still enjoyed some food, but it was like like an egg white veggie omelet with some fruit, like a deer meat stick. And then like I still had my favorite oats, blueberries, and protein powder. And then let's see what else. Oh yeah, and then I had sushi. I had a shit ton of like spicy tuna rolls. But I mean, kept it pretty clean the next day just because like I was miserable on that flight back after two giant slices of cheesecake, a giant sandwich, and like an appetizer and a half. Um, so still got to enjoy it and everything. After that, business as usual, immediately back on plan. Calories are no different from the week before. So training day calories, I was sitting about 3,200 calories for training days and about 2,400 calories for non-training days. Yeah, I was a little bit hungry. Yeah, I wanted to eat more. Did I? No, I stayed on plan. I did what I was supposed to do. And then by the end of the week, I weighed in at like, I want to say 188 pounds, and then ran another week with slightly higher calories the next week. I think about like 4,200. And again, so a little hungry, but not going off plan, staying exactly on plan like I was supposed to. And then that following week, I came at like 187 for weight. So this past week, now 3 weeks post show, or I guess it was exactly 3 weeks post show for this entire past week that we did. Food went at 4,700 calories on training days and 3,400 calories on non-training days, and like weight shot up. But like conditioning is still there, blood pressure is still flawless, blood glucose levels fasted in the morning are still flawless. Um, like I think this morning even I weighed in at 198, so about a 10-pound jump in a week's time, which like when I told my coach about this and like, he saw the check and he was like, okay, well, like, do you have any like edema? Did you like, do any off-plan eating? Did you like binge or anything like that? And I was like, no, like I've been eating exactly what I'm supposed to. He's all right, so I sent pics now. Like I need to see visuals and still had lines, still looked super full. Didn't look watery, didn't look blown out, didn't look like I was putting on any adipose tissue. So he was like, okay, and I sent him my blood glucose for that morning. My fasted glucose levels were 75 about 30 minutes before eating. And so, spot on. Resting blood pressure was sitting around like, 110 for systolic, and diastolic was sitting around like 65, 70. I tested it a few more times throughout the day at a rested state and it stayed about the same. So good there. And he was like, all right, well, I mean, like the visuals are so good. And yeah, weight's up crazy, but like I guess you just got a lot of great glycogen stores. Enjoy the massive pumps as long as nothing changes. We can keep running it like this. Um, so yeah, weight like shot up on 4,700 calories. I'm no longer like starving, which is a great feeling. Like I'm actually in a comfortable place with food again, as far as like satiety goes, and not feeling like I need to eat everything. But yeah, so we're like full blown into improvement season. I know that a lot of people don't like the term off season. I'm kind of getting to that point too, just because everyone that I hear that talks about off season usually means that they're eating like shit and not eating what they're supposed to, and that's not what I'm doing. You know, um, I'm so on plan. Anything that I have that's off plan is going to be like a hummus fit buffin muffin, and it'll be like one of those a week, maybe two of them, and even then probably not. But even then, it's not like I'm adding it onto the food that I have. Like I'm factoring it in and changing up like the food sources, at least the volume and the size of them, for like one specific meal, so that I can have that buffin and it still fits the macros, right? But that's kind of where that buck stops. Like I'm not. There's absolutely nothing crazy going on with cheat meals. I still haven't had like a full-blown off-plan meal. Closest thing to an off-plan meal that I've had is like that. And again, like once a week, just to kind of, if I really just got that sweet tooth or something like that, I'll have one of those muffin muffins. Um, but other than that, no, everything's so perfectly on plan. And people talk about off-plan meals or cheat meals this, cheat meals that. Okay, well, I've got pretty ambitious goals for this improvement season. I want to put on 20 pounds of stage weight. Will I be able to do that? Find out in a year, I guess. But that's the goal. Everything that I didn't win this year, so the overall or so my class in classic, uh, my class in men's physique, and then both overalls. I want to win those next year. Uh, will I be able to do that? I don't know. We'll find out in a year. But yeah, so that's the goal. That's the plan. And with that in mind, with that freshly in my mind, and really, not necessarily being a sore loser, but not responding well as far as like being satisfied with not being at the top, knowing that, I could be, not today, not tomorrow, but one day. It's like, okay, well, with that fresh in my mind, like I don't feel the need to, go eat out. I don't feel the need to like take a break. For me, taking a break was having a fatigue drop off, libido finally coming back, feeling like normal again with the amount of food that I was eating, and then like training getting even more fun because I wasn't, exhausted before I even walked in the gym. But yeah, so that's kind of like the full update on prep and how prep went. And now we're like 3 weeks into post show, and that's how things are going. Food has stayed exactly the same from check-in yesterday. And yeah, work is still work. I've still got a lot going on with that. Uh, Come like mid-July, that should lighten up a lot. So hopefully I can be a little more active on YouTube and kind of sharing my journey a little bit more. But we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thanks to my like 3 viewers. I appreciate you guys watching and talk to you later.